Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. As always, the voice of reason, Bonga Bweta. How's up, girl?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. My name is Ursula Mariani. I need to say that more often. Apparently, I don't say it. And I am the host of the Conversation Capital. A few weeks ago, I sent out a call to Mathunzi MacDonald during a Get Ready With Me episode. And I was like, Mathunzi MacDonald, you need to come onto the show. And she adhered to the call. Thank you so much for coming through. It means so much. This is Mathunzi MacDonald, guys. If you don't know her, Google her, baby.
Wow.
But who is Mathunzi MacDonald?
Who is Mathunzi MacDonald? Mathunzi MacDonald was a black girl from MP, staying in GP for quite some time. She's a, yes, I'm a she. Those are my pronouns. Do you pronounce here?
You can.
She, her. She is a layered individual, right? There's a lot to Mathunzi. Some people term it complicated, but it's I believe it's from a lack of language to describe a person like me. I'm loving, extremely empathetic. I love people. I don't like them. I'll explain that sometime. I'm kind to a fault, and I'm an extremist in that it's black or white when it comes to me. So I'm either very nice or not so nice, or very happy or not happy at all. It's either or. When it comes to me, I am a creative entrepreneur by profession. That's an umbrella over multiple things. I also did study ECD in Montessori, the Montessori pedagogy. So I'm a teacher, 0 to grade R. Just doesn't have enough money, so. It's on the we put it on the back, but yeah, it is, right? It is. But yeah, that's who Mathunzi is.
Yes. And it's actually because of that, you mentioning the multifaceted nature of who you are, that we felt you was just so perfect for the topic. So we're chatting all things to do with being a multifaceted individual and what that does for you, in the sense that it often brings about, imposter syndrome.
Yes.
You feel like one personality betrays another.
Yeah.
One aspect of you betrays another.
Yeah.
The scientist in you betrays the artist in you. The artist in you betrays the scientist in you.
Yes.
And that's one of the main reasons we're like, we need to get Mathunzi MacDonald on. We need to chat about what it is to be this multifaceted individual. And, just diving straight into that. Do you ever feel like that? I'm sure you do, but could you give us an instance where you just felt you didn't know how to deal with these many personalities? I mean, now you say it so comfortably, but I'm sure it took a lot of growing. It took a lot for you to be like, oh, actually, people call me, what was the word you used? Complicated? Complicated.
Yeah.
And I know that you like to say, I don't mind complicated.
Yes.
It must have taken so much for you to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Complicated, and some of the other words that accompany who I am, and what further fueled my imposter syndrome, because I do suffer from imposter syndrome. Sure. I suffer from other mental health issues such as MDD, general anxiety disorder, etc. And having that on top of the imposter syndrome is just a mess. But what I was saying about the word complicated is people will also call you undecisive. They'll give you incomplete statements such as, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Still,
which is
better than a master of one.
Exactly. So we forget that part. So you kind of grow up hearing those kind of things, which do not help at all. I struggled with myself first because I didn't know what to do with myself. You get to class in the morning. School's probably a great example, actually. You get to school in the morning, and then you have assembly. And I've been to a couple of Christian schools, so you have worship and all of that. And I could sing, and I could pray, and I could do devotion. Oh, okay, that's great. And then you move on to class, and then there's the academics, and it's like, okay,
I'm good at that
I'm
too.
doing amazing here, right? And then it's sports. It's inter-house, and you're like, excel, and then it's the school play and all of that. And then it's kind of like, so when people say, what are you good at? Well, I'm so the struggle was internal. And from a very young age, it's something that I realized. I'm trying to write books. One of the books I'm trying to write is The Death of Dreams. And a lot of my dreams died because I didn't know which dream to pick up first and what to do first.
Sure.
And what I had the confidence to do first. I thought I was a very confident person. I seem like a very confident person, but not really, because I feel like a fraud, which is what imposter syndrome is, right? So it's described as as persistent doubt in one's abilities and accomplishments. That's imposter syndrome, and the fear of being exposed as a fraud or an imposter, right? And I have carried that probably since the age of 8-ish, when I started dreaming clearly, right? I was a very aware child, so I was aware of the things around me. I was aware of what was going on in my head, in my body, etc., etc. But I was like, where do I go? And then when people pick up on the different things that you can do, the different people you are, I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Then they start questioning and start calling you complicated because they don't get it. My siblings, I have 2 siblings, an older sister. People think she's younger, don't ask, and a younger brother. And we call them twins sometimes. Their personalities are quite alike. And my entire immediate family is born in September and I'm born in April, right? So my mom, my late mother, didn't quite get me for the first bit of my life. And it frustrated her because she had this genuine desire of getting to know me. But she also didn't know where to start. She really didn't know where to start. She's just like, okay, this is my good Christian kid, but at the same time, she's quite,
different,
independent and different. And she's trying out new things and she's doing this. And we're Seventh-day Adventists at home. And it's like, what do you mean you want to do sports on Saturday? Like, and she didn't get it. I was quite reserved because I was a thinker. I enjoy being in my head. And she didn't get that as well. It's like, talk, child. Like, what do you mean? I said, kuluma, Mathunzi. And it's like, I didn't have that. And then people start then creating pictures about you based on what is better understood by them. So my father felt academic, so you're going to become a neurosurgeon, you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer. And my mom was like, you're going to become a pastor, right? And my sister was like, no, you have to be like a performer, and then it's like,
what they experience. Ooh. And then that makes you even more confused. It makes you even more confused because now not only are you struggling to identify your own dreams, you're struggling to identify, now you're adding to the list of more dreams, other people's dreams as well. And I can definitely relate to this conversation. We've talked about it before. Just feeling like one version of yourself looks totally different to another version of yourself, you know.
And as I'm thinking about this, I'm just thinking about the root cause is society teaching us that we have to pick.
Yes.
That's the root cause, really. Because if I was born and I was taught that you can do anything you want, like you don't have to pick between all of these things. Like how growing up we didn't, like as a kid you tried everything, right? Yes. While you're discovering yourself. But that's what it's called. It's called discovering yourself. Exactly. Because in the end the main goal is you must pick something.
From picking subjects.
You know?
Right?
So for me the main thing is like the root cause is society making us think we have to pick.
Yeah.
And in a lifetime, you can only be one thing.
One thing.
People never think of a post-retirement job.
Yeah.
What am I going to do after I retire? Yeah. Am I going to become a vlogger? Like, you could be something totally different.
Totally.
Be like a singer in Las Vegas or something like that.
Isn't it crazy on that now we're told that we should have a minimum of 3 extremes of income. Yet, before we're conditioned to do one thing.
Yes.
So you're going to have one job, but you're expected to have 3 streams of income to kind of make it.
Yeah.
Sure.
In this day and age.
Yes. And I think that's definitely something a lot of people are being exposed to. You need to diversify your incomes. And I think could be firstly the economy, but secondly, we're just exposed to so much more information in a shorter period of time. So it is possible in this day and age to be a actress who's also a writer who writes books. It is possible because nowadays you can learn so much from even a episode on YouTube, like the Conversation Capital episode. Has a lot of information, and that's just it. So much information is coming at us that we're learning at a much faster rate, meaning that we're not becoming content with being one thing anymore. And then on top of that, the economy is not allowing us to have one source of income. Isn't it like the rule of 4s? You should have at least 4 different streams of income, and they need to be so diverse that if one industry falls, so if you've got 4 streams of income, but they all come from your ability to sing, and then when the singing industry or when your voice bombs out, God forbid.
Imagine.
God forbid.
Imagine.
Yeah, God forbid, like your voice does something and your 4 streams of income come from that one ability to do that thing. You put yourself in danger. Then do you really have 4 streams of income?
Exactly.
Exactly. So they need to come from these diverse sources. But then we're wrestling with an older generation that felt you needed to be one thing. You need to choose one thing. Jack of all trades, master of none. All the things that we've been, drilled. And I must be honest, it caused a lot of turmoil in younger Ursula's life. Yeah. I mean, I'm an old gal now. I'm 30 years old. Hey. But it really caused so much turmoil in my life, like you're saying, the death of dreams, where, I kept I was so conflicted, with like the different things that I wanted to do. I've always been someone who appreciates the arts. And remember the first introduction, it was an adult. But they said to me, artists don't make money. That was the statement. Artists don't make money. Then I thought, okay, I need to make money. And then everybody started saying, you're so good at maths. You're so good at math. And then they started, really imposing these different things. And now I had to, the truth is I was good at maths. Yeah. And the truth is I'm good at other things as well. And the truth is there are artists who make money. I mean, Kanye West, Jay-Z,
exactly.
I could mention a whole list, you know what I mean? But back then, not even back then, I think it's the obvious thing. As any adult, I can imagine that God forbid, I also hope not to do that to my child. I hope to guide them in their own dreams. But I can imagine that you try to, steer them into a safe choice.
Yes.
Yes. When COVID happened,
and it comes from a good place.
Yes, it does.
It really does.
It's not a nasty thing that they're doing to you.
Yes. So the other person, we're also forgiving to them. It comes from a good place that they want you to do well. They want you to be fine. They want you to have security.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
But at the cost of my dreams.
I remember when COVID happened, somebody put up a post saying, we got to an age where we despised our parents for telling us to become doctors. But now that they're calling our jobs, what was it? Not when you're not non-essential
workers. Yeah.
Now you're like, hey, maybe I should have become a doctor after all.
I should have
possibly become a doctor after all, or something very mainstream. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Something very mainstream. Yeah. And but then that's the dynamic of just being an artist generally, exactly. But we're speaking towards even being, let's say, I don't know, scientist, whatever.
Yes.
And still needing an outlet. Maybe you're sitting in a lab coat, but you actually in the evening like writing poetry and not articles. I don't know. But speaking to that multi-layered thing and how sometimes you could be sitting in this position at work and you feel like you're lying or you're betraying another part of yourself. Yes.
Or even that very thing or part or faculty you're sitting in that moment. So I think that's the true struggle of imposter syndrome, is that in that space. So, okay, I am an artist first. I'll say first.
Yes.
I'm an artist first. But what if I start singing and then they pick up that my technique is not the same as the other jazz musicians I went to school with?
Sure.
No, apparently I have a nice voice, but like I haven't been practicing for a while. So am I sure I can do this? And then when someone comes and says, I'm only paying you $500, you're like grateful. That time you've been working towards a rate of 10K a night. But you're like so grateful for this 500 because you're thinking
you don't deserve.
As long as they don't figure out that my technique is fine, 500 is fine for someone who's just getting by. You know. So in the space that you said, even if you do choose one, it's the struggle of making that one work. They are. I think someone says there are 5 types of imposter syndrome. I relate to all 5, which is crazy. I can't remember all of them. There's the perfectionist.
You wait until you're perfect before you apply for the job, or until you're overqualified before you apply. Yeah.
There's the perfectionist. There's the expert. There is the superhero, Superman, the Superwoman. The one who stays the longest at work to make sure it is done right. You stay the longest at an event to make sure it is clean, it is sorted, right? All of because you think you're not good enough. You think you haven't truly paid your dues. You think you haven't learned enough about the thing. You know, we were.
I didn't even realize that falls under imposter syndrome.
All these little things. The thing of sending it. I struggle to send CVs. I struggle to I compile people's portfolios. I write bios for people. So I do content and copy. I can do it for anyone. In my sleep, tell me to compile mine. It's a lol.
Yeah.
I see sending it.
I hear you.
Tell me to compile. And I will go through my
Anytime somebody
folders.
send your bio, what am I going to say about myself?
Exactly. And I cannot just attach your portfolio. And I'm thinking, I have drives on drives with stuff and stuff. But when I have to sit down and say, okay, Mathunzi, you've done this much, it just doesn't happen. And then you read the brief for the job and they're like, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And Mathunzi's like, I'll send on Monday. Monday never comes. There's just this thing where I used to, especially in the arts, because I didn't study film and TV. I didn't study film and TV. I did musical theater and then jazz. And sending my CV for a producer role or a PC role, I think that people will read it and be like, what a joke, my darling. Like, what an absolute joke. And because I had already started the acting, I've thought that people would think I'm trying to do things that are above my actual pay grade. Like actresses are always trying to do something else. Models are always trying to do something else. So I felt like as soon as someone opens that email, they're gonna be like, oh God, another one. You know. So it's a genuine struggle with any faculty. Any part of life.
Even if you decide that, no, I'm tired of being multifaceted, this is what I want to zone in on. But being able to reprimand yourself and say, I deserve to be in this space. And in actual fact, I deserve to even try. Let's just say you are trying something new. That you deserve to try without you shutting yourself down and wanting to... I've experienced imposter syndrome. Every single time it's time to write a bio. Every single time it's time to apply for a job. I'm always like... Reaching, Ursh. How are you reaching?
How are you reaching?
There's some voiceover things. I've been doing voiceovers maybe year 9. Where I feel inadequate. How? You've been doing this for almost a decade.
You've paid your dues.
You've paid your dues,
Absolutely.
you know, and the other spaces where you've been doing the job for a while, but somehow you find yourself like, am I really qualified to do this thing, you know? And I definitely see you spoke about the background of studying something.
Yes.
And you know, it's crazy, but I think for me, in essence, studying at a university or any institution, what it gives you is confidence.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot of the job is learned on the job.
Yes.
Any job.
Yes.
But it gives you the confidence to say, I can do this, or I deserve to be here with you guys right now, right? And so I learned that because I've seen how with voiceovers, I never went for like any specific training for it. And that's always been the thorn in my side. And perhaps Ursula just go do a short course and get over it. That's another solution to the problem, you know. But maybe the lack of capacity to do that because I've been doing so many other things at the same time. Yes. But, you know, the formal education just does that. It says, get a certificate in radio DJing. I mean, people go to presenter school. You know, I remember recently Bong and I went to something and we were sitting with the other person who was hosting, and then they went on about how they had been to school for hosting.
Yeah.
And I immediately felt like an imposter here at the Conversation Capital, a YouTube channel I started so I can host it how I want. But I immediately thought, you know, even when somebody says, actually, you don't say your name when you start the show, I'm like, oh yeah, that's something.
Maybe that's something
they
you
probably
learn.
learned in
presenter school. This was a module in presenter school. Say your name.
Your name before you start.
Yeah.
But it really is something that sometimes formal education just gives you confidence.
Yeah.
Not necessarily teaches you how to do the job.
Absolutely.
Sometimes how to do the job is innately who you are.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. But it will just say to you, Noddy badge, I've got a course, a qualification in being a presenter.
Yeah.
You know, and so I deserve to sit here with the other presenters because, you know, and sometimes that's all it does, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Sure. So much to say, I think, on just feeling the same. And I'm sure everybody's just got an example where they just felt, man, this isn't my space. I'm not qualified to be here. Even if physically on paper qualified, but you feel like I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough to contribute, to bring to the table.
Here's another thing. People who I enjoy studying because I enjoy reading and I enjoy discovering new things. But what is going on sometimes when people move from qualification to qualification but never feel satisfied? Could it be a thing that they now complete this thing that is supposed to give them the confidence in what they're doing, but they're still so bogged down by a type or a sense of imposter syndrome that they think, no, I have to try something else. This is still not good enough.
You get for people, that thing.
Who never actually settle in their courses. They spend their life literally just
jumping from one to the next
and never actually settle and can sit down with themselves and say, I'm good, I'm happy.
Guys, we've talked problem for 20 minutes now.
Solution.
How do we fix it? How do we get over it? I know with me, this is my little hack. I'm going to share it with you guys. Whenever I feel, I think I got it off a YouTube channel or something. I can't remember where I heard it. Podcast YouTube channel. But they spoke. I think it was a TED Talk actually. Doing a hero pose.
Yes.
It was a TED Talk. No? A hero pose. Have you seen it? Where you stand like a superhero for like a minute or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it will boost your confidence. Yes. So I do that before every interview. I do that before every gig. If I'm emceeing something, I do that. And I don't know if it works.
Probably does.
It probably does.
I think it does. I really do think it does.
Probably does.
I really do think it does. But that's been like me trying to find solutions because I'm tired of stepping to, especially spaces where an MC can't show up like, hi guys. You have to get up on that stage like you know what you're about to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can imagine as a musician, you have to get up on that stage like you know what you're about to do. So
Always.
what do you do? What's your? I just shared my little 2 cents. Like I hero pose.
So I take time out. Already by virtue of my personality, I need quiet time to reboot. But I do that to shut out the voices. Mine are loud enough. Mine are loud enough. So I shut out voices
Extra
completely.
voices.
Like literally, keep blue tick, live blue tick. Thank you very much. And then I decide what I want to do then and there. So I listen to my energy. And my energy says, today we're an actress, darling. So what do? We act. Right? And we act on Mathunzi's terms. And then we done with the acting, and then we wake up and today says, I feel like writing. There's something. I use my phone, my notes a lot for everything. So as soon as an idea pops up, just pick up my notes, even if it's just a sentence. And I jot it down, I jot it down. I don't share it with anyone because for me, the imposter syndrome is just, it is really fueled by the noise. It's the noise for me. So let it be quiet. The only person I can consult is God and my guides. And then, and then just follow my energy. And the thing is, I don't think anything is placed on you, on your heart, on your mind that you shouldn't be doing. And because of that belief, I can zone in into what I'm supposed to be doing at that time. And then I now believe that if it's on my mind, if it's on my heart and if I'm itching to do it, I clearly have the tools to get it done.
Yes.
So that helps me kind of cross that line of, no, you're not good enough. I must have it. It can't be sitting here on my chest the whole day and I don't have what it takes to get it done.
That's a beautiful principle to live by.
Yeah, and if I really, really can't, guys, Dr. Google is a thing. I have made more money from consulting Dr. Google than I have. Please don't consult Dr. Google for your health. But
Mayo Clinic, yeah, why not?
But I have made so much money from consulting Dr. Google, more money than I've made from the traditional stuff that I carry, the certificates, the qualifications that I carry. I've made more money from sitting down and going, what is a producer? I'm an executive producer today.
Yes. You didn't study for that, yeah.
I didn't.
And you've done a great job.
I didn't. And I go, what is a storyboard? Tomorrow I'm directing. You guys will see. And stuff. And by the time it's on my CV, it says director, producer, art director, and then it's done. I had the tools. It's believing that something, if it's sitting on your heart, something in you has also provided the tools. And the time. Find the time. Make the time to truly immerse yourself in the things that you love, you're passionate about, and that feed you. And don't think you don't have time. How I know that people have a lot of time is through friendships and relationships. We fight a lot about, you didn't text me back, you didn't call me this morning. And I always say that if you have to say that to someone else, it's because you don't have enough to do in a day. So if you find yourself constantly waiting for the outside world to come inside, start considering what you could do with that time. And that's going to give you the opportunity to tap into what you're about. And that's the thing, practice makes perfect. So the more you do tap into it, less imposter syndrome, because you're more confident you are in what you're doing. That's the more confident you get, in what you're doing. So that's what I do. I just zone in, I shut out the world. I zone in, I tap into what I should be doing, and I get it done. And I practice until I am imperfectly perfect.
This week I heard procrastination is only something along the like it's just imposter syndrome.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
You actually don't have the confidence to
get start that thing.
What you're saying is actually very similar to a quote from Scott M. Peck. I think I've said this before. Maybe not. I repeat quotes a lot of times to a lot of people. But Scott Peck, M. Peck, something like that, has a book, The Road Less Traveled. And in one of the books, he talks about giving your problems time, and so what you're saying, like investing time, you can't just sit and say, I don't know photography, but it's on my heart that I can be a photographer. But you're not allowing yourself to be the imposter who knows nothing, to, submerge yourself in trying to learn, to practicing, to making mistakes, to being stupid, to being silly, to eventually being a photographer. And just investing time. Oh, I really loved that. That was beautiful. Ooh.
And thanks for saying the silly thing. That's the last comment I'm going to make.
Yeah.
People who make money are not smart people, because smart people overthink. Stupid people make the most money because they just do. They don't ask questions. They just jump. We'll see what happens. And they are always successful.
Yes.
They always make money. Us smart people spend too much time thinking about what's going to go wrong. So be stupid.
Be stupid.
There's one of my guy friends. I worked with him when I was in varsity in SLC. And like he would just be like, here's an idea. Yeah, let's execute. Like, I want to go home and plan.
Sit on the idea
and what. And this guy was, and he's killing it in his life, And so much so that he even says, when I can hire you for this, when I can, because he knows there's something he lacks. What he has is action.
Yes.
He can have the right team.
Yeah.
And he has action.
No, and shame people that jump first ask questions later.
Yeah.
And I know, we're cautioned. Don't get me wrong. It's a bit of a difficult one because don't be on the extreme end and say Conversation Capital told you to shoot first, ask questions later.
Yes, please.
Please don't do that.
Cautious.
Still be very cautious. But there is a power in going, doing, jump, do what you need to do, and utlabona. Finances. I have an uncle who says, never look at finances, never look at time, you'll never start.
Yes.
Finances time, you'll never
ever start. True.
No, when I just be invested, go. You'll pick up the skill as you go along. You'll pick up but I think, it's definitely a daily fight. It's the fight of feeling inadequate. It's the fight of feeling like an imposter. It's the fight of low confidence. It's the fight of comparison.
Yes.
Comparing yourself to others. Yes. It's the fight of everything else. But what's really important is just start.
We need to come back for the conversation of comparison.
Ooh, round 2.
We need round 2.
No, because that one is maybe 30 minutes in yan.
Yeah, no, it needs time.
And a comparison.
Yep.
Habari is the thief of joy.
Yo.
That's so true.
Do they say that? Is that the same?
Yeah, it is.
Is it? No wonder.
No wonder, man. You know.
No, but it really is.
Yeah.
Because
you can't celebrate the moment you're in. You can't enjoy it. Because there's also this thing, this generation, I don't know of our parents, but we're always on the go. What's the next thing? You don't get to enjoy
this.
What you're saying, I definitely this year had to learn the lesson of enjoying the mundane. We spoke about it before. Enjoying the sitting with my sister on the bed and chatting and really like being invested and feeling it and submerging myself in that. I think it's called mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness.
Sit and be there.
Because it goes back to that comparison thing. You're comparing yourself, so you need to jump and do the next thing quickly. And if not, I remember there was a big thing that I was waiting for this year, and then once it happened, I remember the next day thinking, what do I do now? I felt so empty. And I hadn't felt that empty for months building up to it. And then once it happened, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now?
Exactly.
And
see the next thing.
And that's when this whole mindfulness lesson started coming up. Like, oh my gosh, no, I need to actually enjoy my day today. And not wait for these milestones, these big landmarks. And anyway, we could go on and forever and ever. It is the conversation capital after all. We want to hear from you guys. Drop us your comments, drop us your questions. Make sure you follow Mathunzi MacDonald on Instagram and Bonga Buata. Never on Instagram, Facebook though. Facebook, myself, Ursula Mariani. But most importantly, follow the conversation capital. So like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. Share, man, share. Wait, share. King. We love you guys so much. I'll catch you guys at the very next episode. Mwah.